She is not ignoring you because you lack value. She is ignoring you because you have made yourself too available. Most men respond to disinterest in the exact same way. They chase harder, they talk more, they try to prove their worth, and in the process, they start to look needy. You send one extra text, you suggest one more plan, you give one more compliment, and yet she remains distant. Then you convince yourself she is out of your league, or you become frustrated, or you keep asking for another chance. Let me be clear with you. I am not here to comfort you. I am here to wake you up. A woman does not develop attraction because you persuaded her with words. She becomes drawn to you when she feels tension, curiosity, and the uncertainty of whether access to you is guaranteed. That is not manipulation. That is how human psychology works. Stoicism is the discipline that allows you to stay calm, grounded, and controlled enough to respond the right way. In this video, I will show you how to stop chasing without becoming bitter, how to use silence and space without playing childish games, and how to rebuild attraction through self-control, mystery, and personal standards. You will learn what to do when she pulls away, and how to make her rethink you without forcing anything. If you want the truth without sugarcoating, subscribe now, because what I am about to share will completely change how you approach attraction. Let's get into it. Stop chasing, she feels it. Number 1, stop chasing, she feels it. Let's get real for a moment, folks. Chasing is not invisible. You may think you are just showing interest, being attentive, or doing the right thing. She feels it differently. She feels pressure. She feels urgency. And the moment she feels that, attraction quietly starts leaking out of the room. Most men chase because they are uncomfortable with uncertainty. Silence makes them anxious. Delayed replies make them overthink. Distance feels like rejection. So they compensate. They text again. They suggest another plan. They explain themselves. That behavior does not create connection. It signals imbalance. Here is the truth most men avoid. Attraction grows when there is space to miss you. Chasing removes that space. Let me give you a real situation. Jason is 47, divorced, financially stable, and new to dating again. He meets Emily, 43, confident, attractive, and emotionally experienced. After a great first date, Jason starts checking in daily. Good morning texts, follow-ups, subtle reassurance seeking. Emily responds politely, but her energy shifts. She takes longer to reply. She becomes less expressive. Jason feels it slipping and chases harder. The result is predictable. She pulls away completely. Now rewind that same situation with one change. Jason enjoys the date, follows up once, then returns to his life. No over-explaining, no chasing momentum. Emily feels something different. Curiosity. She wonders why he is not trying to lock things down. That curiosity keeps him in her mind longer than any extra text ever could. Chasing communicates one thing very clearly. You need the outcome. A need is not attractive. Stoicism teaches this with brutal clarity. The moment you attach your peace to something outside your control, you give up power. A woman can feel that loss of power instantly. Let's be honest. When you chase, you stop being selective. You adjust yourself to keep her interest. That adjustment puts her in the position of choosing while you wait. That is the opposite of polarity. Another example, Robert is 52, married for 20 years, now single. He reconnects with a woman from his past, Sarah, 48. The chemistry is there, but Robert starts trying to secure it too quickly. He talks about intentions early. He reassures constantly. Sarah feels cornered, not desired. When Robert finally steps back, it is too late. The damage is done. Here is what strong men understand. Pulling back is not punishment, it is self-respect. When you stop chasing, you return to center. You focus on your direction, your schedule, your standards. That groundedness is felt immediately. Women do not want to be chased. They want to choose, and they choose men who are not trying to convince them. Stopping the chase does not mean becoming cold or distant. It means matching energy instead of exceeding it. It means allowing attraction to breathe. It means trusting your value without constantly proving it. Let's be real again. If she loses interest when you stop chasing, it was never solid. And if interest grows when you pull back, you just learned something important. This is the foundation. Without it, nothing else works. If this hit home, drop a comment and write, "I stop chasing." Stay with me. What's coming next shows how silence creates desire without you saying a word. Silence creates desire. Silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure without force. When you stop filling space with explanations, reassurance, and emotional noise, something powerful happens. Her attention turns inward. And when attention turns inward, desire starts doing the work for you. Most men talk too much when they feel uncertainty. They explain intentions. They justify behavior. They try to smooth things over. That instinct feels logical, but it kills tension. Desire needs space. Words collapse space. Silence expands it. Stoicism has always understood this. Epictetus said we should speak only when necessary and choose silence when it serves reason. Silence is not the absence of presence. It is presence without need. When you are silent and grounded, you are not disappearing. You are letting your weight be felt. Here is the psychological truth. The human mind hates unanswered questions. When you go quiet without anger or withdrawal, her mind starts filling in the gaps. Why is he calm? Why is he not chasing? Why does he seem unchanged? Those questions create emotional movement. Emotional movement creates desire. Let's be honest. Silence works because it removes emotional access. When you stop narrating your inner world, she can no longer predict you. Predictability is comfortable, but it is not seductive. Uncertainty paired with calm feels magnetic. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best way to protect your inner peace is to be indifferent to what does not concern you. Silence shows indifference to outcomes without showing indifference to yourself. That distinction matters. You are not cold. You are composed. Silence also resets the power dynamic. When you speak less, your words gain value. When your words gain value, your presence gains gravity. Gravity pulls. It does not push. Desire responds to gravity, not persuasion. Most men fear silence because they think it looks like losing interest. In reality, silence reveals confidence. It says you are comfortable with whatever happens next. Comfort with outcomes is deeply attractive because it signals abundance. Seneca warned that uncontrolled speech is often a sign of uncontrolled emotion. When you control your speech, you control your emotional output. That control is felt immediately. It creates a sense of safety and tension at the same time. Silence also protects you from self-sabotage. You stop overcorrecting. You stop saying things you later regret. You stop negotiating your worth. That restraint keeps you aligned with your standards. Standards are attractive. Here is another layer men miss. Silence gives her room to miss you. Missing someone is an emotional process. That process cannot happen when you are always present. When you step back calmly, absence gains weight. Weight creates longing. Stoicism teaches that you should never hand control of your inner state to someone else. Silence is how you keep that control. You are not reacting. You are choosing.
Choice is power.
Let's be real again. Silence does not mean ignoring. It means responding without urgency. It means allowing pauses. It means trusting that if attraction is real, it will surface without you forcing it. When you master silence, you stop chasing desire and start allowing it. Allowing feels confident. Confidence feels attractive. If this resonates, drop a comment and write, "I choose silence." Stick with me. The next part shows why pulling back at the right moment makes her rethink everything she thought she knew about you. Pull back, she reconsiders. Let's talk about the move that makes most men uncomfortable, folks. Pulling back, not disappearing, not acting cold. Pulling back calmly, without drama, without explanation. This is the moment where many women stop feeling certain about you and start thinking again. Most men believe consistency alone builds attraction. They think staying present, staying available, and staying predictable will make her feel secure enough to choose them. In reality, predictability kills tension. When there is no risk of losing you, there is no reason to reevaluate your value. Pulling back works because it interrupts emotional certainty. Here's a real situation. Daniel is 49, divorced, stable, and emotionally grounded. He meets Michelle, 45, confident and selective. Early on, Daniel shows interest, but he does not overwhelm. Then, something shifts. Michelle becomes slightly distant. In the past, Daniel would have leaned in. This time, he pulls back. He stops initiating every interaction. He stays warm when they talk, but he no longer fills the space. Michelle notices the change immediately. Not consciously at first, she just feels something is different. The man who was steady is now less accessible. Her mind starts working. Did I misread him? Is he losing interest? Why does he seem so calm about it? That internal questioning is the beginning of reconsideration. Pulling back forces reflection. Reflection is where attraction often reignites. Another example. Kevin is 52, coming out of a long marriage. He reconnects with Lisa, 48, someone he dated briefly years ago. At first, Kevin overinvests. The dynamic feels off. He senses it and adjusts. He pulls back not to punish, but to realign. He focuses on his routine, his gym, his friends, his work. When Lisa reaches out, he responds calmly without rushing. Lisa starts leaning in. She brings up memories. She suggests meeting. The shift didn't happen because Kevin chased. It happened because he stopped. Pulling back works because it restores balance. Attraction needs polarity. When one person is always leaning forward, the other naturally leans away. When you pull back, you remove pressure. Pressure is the enemy of desire. Stoic discipline is critical here. You are not pulling back to provoke a reaction. You are pulling back because your peace does not depend on her response. That internal posture is felt immediately. Calm detachment reads as confidence. Let's be real. Pulling back scares men because it feels like giving up control. In truth, it is how you take it back. You stop negotiating for attention. You stop managing her emotions. You return to yourself. Pulling back also reveals truth. If she never reaches out, you save time and dignity. If she does, interest was there all along, buried under too much availability. Another important point. Pulling back must be clean. No passive-aggressive silence, no guilt, no emotional withdrawal. You remain grounded and respectful. You simply stop overextending. Women reconsider men who are not trying to convince them. Convincing signals doubt, certainty does not chase. This move only works when it is real. If you pull back while secretly waiting for validation, it leaks. If you pull back because you respect yourself, it lands. If this resonates, drop a comment and write, "I pull back." Stay with me. What comes next shows why being too available quietly destroys attraction even when everything feels right. Availability kills attraction. Number 4, availability kills attraction. Let's address a hard truth, folks. The more available you are, the less attractive you become. This isn't opinion, it's psychology. Constant access removes mystery, removes tension, and quietly lowers perceived value. When you are always reachable, always agreeable, always ready, attraction has nothing to push against. Most men confuse availability with reliability. They think being there all the time shows maturity and interest. What it actually shows is a lack of priority. When someone can reach you anytime, your presence loses weight. Weight is what creates pull. Stoicism warned about this long ago. Epictetus taught that the man who ties his peace to external approval becomes a servant to it. Availability is often just approval seeking in disguise. You stay open not because it's aligned, but because you fear losing access. Fear leaks. Women feel it immediately. Here's the psychological mechanism at work. Desire requires contrast. When everything is accessible, nothing feels special. When access is limited, attention sharpens. Scarcity does not mean absence. It means structure. Structure is what makes connection feel earned instead of assumed. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man should stand firm and not be dragged by impulse. Applied here, that means you do not rearrange your life to stay constantly reachable. You respond when it fits your direction, not when it relieves anxiety. That composure changes how you are perceived. Let's be real for a moment. Overavailability often comes from good intentions. You want to show interest. You want to be supportive, but interest without boundaries feels like pressure. Support without structure feels smothering. Attraction suffocates under constant presence. Availability also kills anticipation. When someone knows they can reach you anytime, there is no build-up. No wondering, no missing. Missing is not weakness. Missing is how desire refreshes itself. Seneca said that what is valued is what is not always at hand. That principle applies directly to attraction. Stoic men understand pacing. They don't disappear, but they don't hover. They allow space without resentment. That space creates room for the other person to lean in. Leaning in is the signal you want. Chasing blocks that signal. Another important layer is self-respect. When you are always available, you teach others that your time is flexible and your boundaries are negotiable. When your time is structured, your presence feels intentional. Intention is attractive. Chaos is not. Availability also weakens polarity. If you are always adjusting to her schedule, her moods, her timing, you place yourself in reaction mode. Reaction mode kills leadership. Leadership requires direction. Direction requires limits. Stoicism is built on limits. Limits on impulse, limits on desire, limits on reaction. Those limits create strength. Strength creates attraction. Here's the distinction most men miss. Being unavailable is not a tactic. It's a byproduct of having a full life. You are engaged with your work, your health, your purpose. You do not pause your world to be constantly present in hers. That independence is felt. Independence creates gravity. Let's be honest. If attraction fades when you stop being constantly available, it was never attraction. It was convenience. And convenience never sustains desire. If this resonates, drop a comment and write, "I value my time. Stay with me." The next part shows why calm confidence beats affection every time when attraction feels uncertain. And if you want to build this stoic discipline into your daily life, not just understand it intellectually, consider joining the channel membership. That's where we train these principles into habits that actually change how you show up. Calm men feel irresistible. Number 5, calm men feel irresistible. Let's talk about calm, folks. Real calm, not fake indifference, not emotional shutdown. Calm that comes from knowing who you are and not needing immediate validation. That kind of calm does something powerful to attraction. It lowers her defenses and raises her curiosity at the same time. Most men think excitement creates attraction. They try to be funny, expressive, intense, or emotionally open too fast. What they miss is that excitement often feels unstable. Calm feels grounded, and grounded men feel safe to desire. Let's be honest. When a man stays calm while others react emotionally, he stands out without trying. Calm signals control. Control signals experience. Experience signals value. A mature woman reads that chain instantly, even if she cannot explain it. Here's a real example. Michael is 50, divorced, successful and comfortable in his routine. He meets Laura, 46, confident and selective at a social event. Other men lean in hard. They talk fast. They try to impress. Michael listens. He speaks slowly. He doesn't rush responses. When Laura tests him with a sarcastic comment, he smiles and stays relaxed. No defensiveness, no over-explanation. Laura later admits something surprised her. Michael felt different, not louder, not flashier, calmer, and that calm made her feel more aware of herself around him. That awareness is the doorway to attraction. Another situation. Thomas is 54, remarried after years alone. Early in his relationship with Karen, 49, he noticed something important. Whenever tension came up, he did not rush to fix it. He stayed composed. He gave space without withdrawal. Karen said his calm made her feel safe, expressing emotion without fear of escalation. That safety turned into desire over time. Some men feel irresistible because they regulate the emotional temperature of the room. They don't spike it. They don't drain it. They stabilize it. Stabilization creates trust. Trust allows desire to deepen without anxiety. Stoicism teaches that the man who governs his inner world is not easily shaken by external events. When you embody that, your presence feels solid. Solid presence feels masculine. Masculine presence creates polarity. Polarity fuels attraction. Let's be real again. Calm does not mean passive. Calm men still lead. They still decide. They just don't panic when things are uncertain. That non-reaction is magnetic because it suggests abundance. You act like someone who has options, not someone afraid of losing one. Here's what most men get wrong. They try to perform calm, but calm cannot be performed. It comes from not needing an outcome to feel okay. When your peace does not depend on her interest, your body language changes, your voice settles, your timing improves. She feels that shift immediately. Another example. David is 48, dating after a long marriage. He used to over-explain and seek reassurance. After working on himself, he starts responding differently. Shorter answers, relaxed pauses. When a woman pulls back, he doesn't chase or sulk. He stays steady. The result surprises him. Women start leaning in more, not less. Calm men feel irresistible because they are predictable in the right way, not boring, predictable, emotionally reliable. That reliability lowers fear and increases openness. Calm also makes intimacy feel earned. When you don't rush closeness, each step carries weight. Weight makes moments memorable. Memorable moments build attraction that lasts. If this connects with you, drop a comment and write, "I stay calm, stay with me." What comes next shows how mystery and restraint make her chase without you asking for anything. Mystery makes her curious. Number 6, mystery makes her curious. Let's be honest, folks. Mystery is not about hiding. It's about not overexposing yourself emotionally too soon. Most men kill attraction by explaining everything, their feelings, their intentions, their past, their fears. They think transparency builds trust. What it often builds instead is predictability. And predictability kills curiosity. Curiosity is the engine of desire. When she cannot fully read you, her mind stays engaged. When her mind stays engaged, attraction has room to grow. Mystery gives her something to lean toward without you pulling her in. Stoic philosophy understood this deeply. Epictetus taught that a man should not make himself cheap by giving his inner world to anyone who asks, not because others do not deserve it, but because self-command requires discretion. When you reveal everything immediately, you remove depth. Depth is what creates pull. Here is the psychological layer. The human brain is wired to complete unfinished patterns. When she does not have full emotional access to you, her mind tries to fill in the blanks. She wonders what you are thinking, what you feel, where you stand. That wondering is not anxiety. When it is paired with calm, it becomes fascination. Most men fear mystery because they think it looks like disinterest. It does not. Disinterest feels cold. Mystery feels grounded and self-contained. You are present, warm, and engaged, but you are not spilling everything. That balance is rare. Rare things attract attention. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the wise man does not act for applause, but from alignment. Mystery works because it is not performative. You are not trying to impress or provoke. You are simply not giving away access to your inner world without reason. That restraint reads as confidence. Let's be real. Men who overshare do it to build safety. They want to be understood quickly. But safety without tension leads to comfort, not desire. Mystery maintains tension without drama. It keeps emotional doors partially closed, not locked, just not wide open. Another important truth: mystery is not silence. It is selective speech. You speak when it matters. You pause when it does not. Your words carry weight because they are not constant. Seneca warned that excess speech weakens authority. When you speak less, people listen more. Mystery also protects your center. You stop seeking validation through explanation. You stop managing how you are perceived. You let your actions and consistency speak over time. That patience communicates abundance. Abundance is attractive. From a Stoic perspective, mystery comes from emotional self-sufficiency. You do not need her to know everything about you to feel whole. You do not need immediate understanding to feel secure. That internal completeness is felt externally. It creates calm intrigue. Curiosity grows when there is a sense of depth. Depth cannot be rushed. When you allow layers to unfold naturally, each interaction feels like progress. Progress creates momentum. Momentum sustains attraction. Here is where many men get it wrong. They try to manufacture mystery by being vague or distant. That feels artificial. True mystery comes from having a full life, strong values, and emotional discipline. You are not withholding to manipulate. You are pacing because you respect yourself. Mystery also invites investment. When she has to learn you over time, she becomes part of the process. Investment strengthens attachment. Attachment that forms slowly is more stable. Stoicism teaches patience for a reason. Patience allows truth to surface. Mystery allows desire to grow without pressure. Together they create attraction that feels earned, not forced. If this speaks to you, drop a comment and write, "I keep my depth." Stay with me. The next part shows why confidence before affection changes everything when attraction feels uncertain. Confidence before affection. Number 7, confidence before affection. Let's straighten this out, folks. Affection without confidence feels needy. Confidence before affection feels intentional. Most men flip that order and wonder why attraction fades. They give warmth, reassurance, and emotional availability before they've established a grounded presence. A mature woman feels that imbalance immediately. Confidence is not bravado. It's not loud. It's not dominant talk. Confidence is internal alignment. It's knowing you'll be fine whether this works out or not. When that comes first, affection lands differently. It feels chosen, not offered for approval. Here's a real situation. Brian is 51, recently divorced, steady in his career but unsure in dating. He meets Claire, 47, thoughtful and emotionally aware. Brian likes her and shows it early with compliments and availability. Claire enjoys the attention, but something feels off. The energy leans too fast into reassurance. Attraction stalls. Brian adjusts. He slows down. He stops leading with affection and starts leading with presence. He keeps plans simple. He listens more than he explains. When he shows warmth, it's brief and well-timed. Claire feels the shift. The affection now has weight because it's backed by confidence. She leans in. Another example, Anthony is 54, remarried later in life. Early on with his partner Megan, 50, he made a choice. He wouldn't use affection to manage uncertainty. When tension appeared, he didn't soothe it with extra closeness. He stayed steady. Megan later said that his calm confidence made his affection feel earned. She trusted it more because it wasn't rushed. Confidence before affection creates polarity. Polarity is the space between two grounded individuals. When you skip confidence and go straight to affection, you collapse that space. Collapse feels safe at first, but it kills desire over time. Let's be real. Men often use affection to secure outcomes, compliments to get reassurance, warmth to prevent distance, attention to avoid silence. That strategy backfires because it exposes fear. Fear is not attractive. Confidence shows up in how you handle uncertainty. You don't overcorrect, you don't chase. You don't rush closeness to calm your nerves. You stay present and let things unfold. That patience communicates strength. Here's what most men miss. Affection is most powerful when it is scarce and deliberate. When it comes from a confident man, it feels like a gift, not a plea. A touch on the arm, a quiet compliment, a moment of closeness that ends cleanly. Those moments linger because they weren't constant. Confidence also sets the tone for boundaries. You decide when affection is appropriate and when it's not. That decision-making feels grounding. Grounding lowers her defenses and increases trust. Trust allows attraction to deepen without anxiety. Another situation. Eric is 48, dating again after years out of the game. He learns to hold back affection until alignment is clear. When he finally shows it, the response changes. Women feel chosen, not chased. That shift changes everything. Confidence before affection also protects you. You don't overinvest emotionally before interest is mutual. You don't build fantasy too early. You stay rooted in reality. That realism keeps your energy clean and attractive. Let's say this plainly. Affection should be an expression of strength, not a substitute for it. When strength leads, affection amplifies attraction instead of replacing it. If this connects with you, drop a comment and write, "I lead with confidence, don't go anywhere." The next part shows why creating the possibility of loss is what makes attraction flip in your favor. Make her fear losing you. Let's get something straight, folks. This is not about threatening, manipulating, or playing mind games. Fear of loss does not come from pressure. It comes from value combined with independence. A woman only fears losing a man when she senses that his presence is not guaranteed and not dependent on her approval. Most men try to secure attraction by proving they will stay no matter what. They reassure, they promise. They lock themselves in emotionally too early. That feels safe on the surface, but it removes urgency. When there is no risk of loss, the mind relaxes. And when the mind relaxes too much, desire fades. Stoicism explains this clearly. Epictetus taught that the man who depends on externals gives away his freedom. When your happiness depends on her choosing you, you signal dependency. Dependency kills attraction. Independence restores it. Fear of loss emerges when you are clearly capable of walking away, calmly. Not angrily, not dramatically, calmly. Calm exit power is what shifts the dynamic. Here's the psychological truth. The human mind values what is not fully secured. When access to you feels conditional on mutual respect and alignment, her mind begins to reassess your importance, not because you said anything, but because your behavior shows standards. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man should never act as if he were born to be carried. Applied here, you do not carry the relationship on your back, you participate in it. If effort becomes one-sided, you adjust. That adjustment creates tension. Tension creates awareness. Awareness creates fear of loss. Let's be real. Fear of loss is not panic, it is subtle. It's the moment she wonders, if I don't show up, will he still be there? That question alone changes behavior. It invites effort. Effort signals investment. Most men think making a woman fear losing them requires withdrawal. It doesn't. It requires consistency with boundaries. You remain warm. You remain respectful. But you do not tolerate imbalance. You do not over-explain your standards. You live them. Stoicism emphasizes self-command over emotional reaction. When you stop reacting to distance with anxiety and stop reacting to mixed signals with over-accommodation, something shifts. Your calm communicates that your life is full and your direction is steady. That steadiness is what creates perceived loss potential. Another key point. Fear of loss only works when it is earned. If you have no presence, no depth, no groundedness, walking away means nothing. But when your presence feels regulating, when your calm feels stabilizing, the thought of losing that creates discomfort. Seneca warned that clinging is a form of self-harm. When you stop clinging, you regain dignity. Dignity is attractive. Dignity makes loss feel costly. Fear of loss also comes from contrast. When your attention is selective, your availability structured, and your affection measured, your presence stands out against the noise of other men who offer constant access. Contrast sharpens value. Let's be honest, you don't need to say, "I'll leave." You show it by not chasing, not begging, not negotiating your worth. You show it by continuing your life. When she pulls back, that continuation signals that your world does not pause for uncertainty. This is where many men fail. They pull back with resentment. That poisons the effect. Fear of loss only works when your withdrawal is clean. No guilt, no punishment, just alignment. If this hits home, drop a comment and write, "I respect myself, stay with me." The next part shows why true detachment is what flips attraction completely in your favor. Detachment turns her on. Let's talk about detachment, folks, because most men misunderstand it completely. Detachment is not coldness. It's not playing hard to get. It's not emotional shutdown. Detachment is being emotionally present without being emotionally dependent. And that state is far more attractive than effort, reassurance, or intensity. When a man is detached, he enjoys connection without clinging to outcome. That alone changes the entire dynamic. Here's a real situation. Chris is 49, divorced, grounded in his career, and finally comfortable being alone. He meets Angela, 45, confident, warm, and selective. Early on, Chris enjoys her company, but he doesn't orbit her life. He makes plans, but he doesn't chase confirmation. When Angela takes longer to respond, Chris doesn't react. He continues his routine, gym, work, friends. Angela notices something unsettling in a good way. Chris likes her, but he doesn't need her. She feels chosen, not leaned on. That emotional posture creates polarity. Polarity creates attraction. Most men do the opposite. They attach emotionally too early. They build meaning before it's earned. They invest before interest is mutual. That attachment leaks through tone, timing, and behavior. Women feel it immediately. Attachment without grounding feels heavy. Detachment works because it removes pressure. Pressure is what kills desire. When a woman senses that your emotional well-being does not depend on her responses, she relaxes. Relaxation allows curiosity. Curiosity opens the door to attraction. Another example, Paul is 52, recently back in the dating world. He meets Denise, 48, thoughtful and guarded. Paul enjoys the connection, but he doesn't escalate emotionally too fast. He doesn't future talk. He doesn't seek reassurance. When plans change, he adapts calmly. Denise later admits something surprised her. Paul's detachment made her feel safer, leaning in because she wasn't carrying his emotional expectations. That's the paradox. Detachment makes intimacy safer, not colder. Let's be real. Detachment scares men because it feels like losing control. In truth, it's how you regain it. When you stop trying to manage outcomes, your energy stabilizes. Stable energy feels masculine. Masculine energy creates attraction. Detachment also signals abundance. You behave like someone who has options, not because you're pretending, but because your life is full. A full life does not cling, it invites. Another important layer is self-respect. Detachment keeps you from tolerating mixed signals, disrespect, or imbalance. You don't argue. You don't negotiate your worth. You simply adjust your presence. That adjustment is felt. It creates a sense of consequence without confrontation. Women are not turned on by indifference. They are turned on by men who care without losing themselves. That balance is rare. Rare things attract attention. Detachment also sharpens attraction because it introduces uncertainty without instability. She can feel your interest, but she can't control your emotional state. That independence creates intrigue. Intrigue fuels desire. Let's say this clearly. You can only be detached if you trust yourself. If you secretly fear losing, her detachment becomes a tactic, and it leaks. True detachment comes from knowing you will be fine either way. That confidence is felt instantly. When detachment is real, your presence feels lighter, your affection feels cleaner, your attention feels earned, and that makes every interaction more meaningful. If this resonates with you, drop a comment and write, "I stay detached. Stay with me." Stoic men reverse attraction. Number 10. Stoic men reverse attraction. Let's put everything together, folks. Reversing attraction is not about tricks or persuasion. It is about changing the emotional gravity in the room. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop managing outcomes, something flips. She no longer feels pursued. She feels drawn. Most men try to create attraction by adding effort. More attention, more affection, more reassurance. Stoic men reverse attraction by subtracting noise. They remove need. They remove urgency. What remains is presence. Presence is what people move toward. Here is the core principle. Attraction reverses when you become the calm center instead of the seeker. The moment your happiness no longer depends on her response, your behavior changes. Your tone slows. Your timing sharpens. Your decisions become cleaner. That shift is felt long before it is understood. Stoicism teaches control over what you can govern and peace toward what you cannot. Applied to dating, this means you control your actions, not her feelings. When you truly accept that, you stop performing, you stop auditioning, you show up as you are. Authenticity, grounded in discipline, is powerful. Reversing attraction also requires standards. Stoic men do not accept mixed signals without adjustment. They do not argue for clarity. They respond to behavior with behavior. If effort drops, they step back. If respect fades, they disengage calmly without speeches. That consistency creates respect. Respect opens the door to desire. Another shift happens internally. You stop fantasizing about outcomes. You stay present with what is real. When you are not living in imagined futures, you are less reactive. Less reactivity feels strong. Strength feels attractive. Let's be real. Many men fear that if they do less, they will lose her. Stoic men understand that if doing less causes loss, the connection was built on imbalance. Reversing attraction means you would rather lose what is misaligned than keep what costs your self-respect. There is also a timing element. Stoic men are patient. They allow attraction to develop without forcing milestones. They do not rush labels or intimacy to calm anxiety. Patience communicates abundance. Abundance changes who chases whom. Another important point is emotional cleanliness. When you stop using affection to regulate your feelings, your affection becomes cleaner. Cleaner affection feels safer and more desirable. Safety allows desire to grow instead of shutting down. Reversing attraction is not dramatic. It is subtle. She notices you are less predictable but more grounded, less available but more intentional, less reactive but more present. Those contrasts pull attention back toward you. Stoic men also accept outcomes fully. If she chooses differently, they do not collapse or retaliate. They keep their direction. That ability to walk away without bitterness is rare. Rarity increases value. This is why Stoic men reverse attraction without chasing. They do not convince. They do not pursue. They embody a state that invites choice. When choice returns to her, desire often follows. The moment you stop trying to be wanted and start being aligned, attraction stops running away and starts turning back toward you. This is not about winning a woman. It is about becoming a man who does not abandon himself for attention. When that shift locks in, relationships become choices, not battles. And when attraction becomes a choice, it feels voluntary. powerful, and deeply satisfying for both people involved over time with calm confidence. Conclusion. All right, folks, let's wrap this up. Today, you learned why attraction doesn't come from chasing, explaining, or proving yourself. It comes from calm boundaries, silence, confidence, and stoic self-control. When you stop reacting and start leading yourself, attraction naturally shifts back in your favor. The real value of this video is simple. You don't need to convince a woman to want you. You need to stop abandoning yourself. If you want to go deeper and apply these principles at a higher level, consider joining the channel membership. That's where I share more advanced guidance for men who are serious about growth, discipline, and results. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the next video.